Let's gotta kick it.
Hi Vanders and fellow armies. Today I'm so incredibly excited because I'm here for you with a video that I've literally been preparing for months now, and I'm finally done with all the books that BTS have recommended. Well, not every single one of them, because especially Yoongi and Namjoon read a ton. I just can't keep up. I'm sorry I'm not as smart and devoted and motivated as they are, but I have picked out 7 books, because 7 obviously, that I want to discuss with you today. Otherwise this video is also gonna be way too long, so that's another excuse that I can tell myself. One day, guys, one day I will read everything that BTS have ever talked about, but that is someday in the future, very, very far away. Because before we even get started, let me tell you guys, BTS have an immaculate taste in books, but besides that, they are really good, wonderful reads. They're also very heavy reads, so please look up the trigger warnings before picking up any of these, because let me tell you, I bawled my eyes out even more than I did when I listened to Spring Day for the very first time. So that says a lot. Grab your tissues, grab your stuffed animals, because you will need some comfort after reading these. Okay, let me get started with the very first book that we're going to talk about, which is Almond. And this is by Won Pyung-sun. I hope that I'm pronouncing the names correctly. If I don't, I'm so sorry in advance. This is a very beautiful book that both Namjoon and Yoongi read during In the Soup. And let me tell you, last year In the Soup literally saved me. Being in lockdown and seeing Jin happily fishing and the members doing karaoke and Yoongi sitting in that little chair, it was my comfort zone. And so I knew immediately after finishing In the Soup that I wanted to read this book. So I actually already read it, but for the sake of this video, I read it again. And let me tell you, this is a 5 out of 5 star read for me. I love it so much with my entire heart. So this is about a boy with a brain condition called alexithymia. I hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. Once again, I'm the worst with pronunciation, so bear with me during this video. But what that basically means is that the 2 almond-shaped neurons inside the head of the main character are not as well developed, and they're smaller than those of normal people. And that means that the main character in this book does not know how to express his emotions, but he also has a really hard time understanding emotions of other people, which causes him a lot of trouble in his life. And this book is a coming-of-age story of that boy Hyunjae, who is our main character, and a boy named Gon. And he is a school bully. He is super mean, aggressive. He comes from a really difficult background, and he tries to teach Hyunjae emotions. He tries to take him out of his comfort zone. They become friends, but it's a really weird, twisted friendship. And I don't want to spoil too much about this book. I just feel like this is something that you have to read for yourself and figure out the meaning behind it, because this is a type of book that has a lot of hidden meanings and a lot of amazing quotes. And I like to annotate my books, so with this one I was just sitting at my desk underlining every single sentence, because the quotes in this are so extremely good. Despite the heavy topics in this book, I feel like this is quite an easy read, in the sense that you get through it so quickly. It's a real page turner. So if you want to read a book recommended by BTS and you don't know where to start, I would highly suggest starting with this one. Also, before we move on to the next book, the fact that I reread this and still loved it as much, or maybe even more than the first time I read this, says a lot in my opinion. So yeah, definitely 5 out of 5 stars. Go read this. Then the next book is a total scam. I'm not being scammed by Namjoon, who recommended this, but I was scammed by Amazon, because I ordered Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, and I got this. Like, I don't know what this is. It's a penguin readers for like beginner readers or something like that. I don't know. It's like a learning book, and I definitely did not order this. Don't worry, Jeff gave me my money back. Love you, Mr. Bezos. But yeah, I was really disappointed when this arrived in the mail, so I just read the book on my phone, and let me tell you, it is such a beautiful story. So Namjoon actually said in an interview in 2015 that this book made a huge impression on him, and I can totally get why. This is such a captivating read. So Me Before You is about a girl named Louisa Clark. She's 26 years old and she still lives with her family. Her family is super sweet and cute, but they're definitely struggling, especially financially. So when Louisa loses her job, she needs to find a new one, and to her surprise, she lands a job that is very interesting and very unexpected for her, and that will change her life forever. So because her and her family are in desperate need of money and there aren't many job choices, Louisa becomes a caretaker for Will, a super rich, handsome former businessman that unfortunately got into an accident with a motorcycle, and he was left completely paralyzed from the neck down. So Louisa gets paid to take care of him, but what she doesn't realize is the impact Will will have on her and her life. I thought really long and hard about how to explain this book without giving away too many spoilers, but I think that the best way to describe it is that Will teaches Louisa to see her life in a different light, and Louisa teaches Will to see light in his life again. And if you're not persuaded by that description to read this book immediately, then I don't know what I can do, because that to me is the most beautiful premise of a book ever. Big warning, you will bawl your eyes out whilst reading this book. 5 out of 5 stars, but it left my heart broken into a million pieces. And not even the funny BTS moment videos on YouTube, which usually make me smile a lot, can fix that, because yeah, this left a big gaping hole in my purple heart. So yeah, thanks Namjoon. Then a non-fiction book on the list, Living, Loving and Learning by Leo Buscaglia. And J-Hope actually mentioned this book in one of his V Lives, and I can totally see why Hobie would recommend a book like this, because the philosophies described in this totally fits J-Hope's personality and his whole message of love and hope that he wants to bring to the world, and I can totally see why he loved this. This book is full of life lessons and really important quotes. It's about fear, it's about love, it's about relationships, friendships, how to deal with different types of people. It's basically a self-help book, and I love this, but at times it was very repetitive. That's definitely a huge complaint that I have about this. There are all these little small anecdotes in this book, and I kind of feel like that takes away from the big important message. Like sometimes stories are necessary to make your point, but I felt like in this book it was a little bit overdone. But I did like the message, so I'm gonna give this a 4 out of 5 stars. But yeah, if you're a Hobie stan, then maybe pick this up. Also, the cover is purple, so that is perfect. I'm definitely sure you will learn a lot whilst reading this. Okay, then we have a very special book. This is Kafka on the Shore by Haruki Murakami, and oh my god, guys, I can't even begin to explain this book. First, let me tell you why this is on this list. This is actually mentioned in one of BTS's really amazing, very underrated songs called Butterfly, which is one of my favorite songs. If you haven't listened to Butterfly, please do. I mean, if you're an ARMY, you probably have already listened to this, but if you just stumbled upon this video and you have no idea who BTS are, please listen to that song. It's mind-blowing, just like this book, which is also mind-blowing. So the lyric is actually, I don't know if this is a reality or a dream, my Kafka on the shore, don't go to those woods over there. This is translated, of course, it's sung in Korean, but my knowledge of Hangul is like non-existent, so yeah, you will have to do with this translation. It makes perfect sense once you have read the book. And all I'm gonna say about this is that it's the most mind-blowing, twisted, intriguing, beautiful, heartbreaking, weird story I have ever come across. This whole book is surreal. There are fish falling from the sky, a man who can talk to cats, there is a stone that leads you to a parallel universe, dreams and reality are intertwined, and yeah, this is just a really absurd book, but that's the whole point of it. And I loved every bit of it, but I also hated this book, but I still give it 5 out of 5 stars. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't either. So I'm not even gonna try to explain what this book is about because I feel like you have to read it for yourself. This is a journey with a capital G, so come prepared. Lots and lots of trigger warnings. This is probably one of the most triggering books I've ever read because some of the triggers include rape, incest, violence, torture, animal torture, which is really bad. So yeah, this is not for faint-hearted, but even though it now sounds like this book is absolutely disgusting and I would never recommend it. Oh yeah, and it's also very misogynistic, another great feature, but I still loved it. Like, I don't know how that is possible. You just have to read it for yourself, but again, be prepared. I was reading this and I was like, Namjoon, what are you doing to me? Because he's the one who has read it and recommended it. I get why it's one of his favorite books, but oh my, like, you have to be strong to get through this. So yeah, you are warned. So then we have The Alchemist, and I actually have this beautiful version of this book that I actually got from a friend. I'm so happy with this. And look at the back, how beautiful is that? So this is actually a book that Yoongi recommended. He claimed this is one of his ultimate favorite books of all time, and the author actually gave signed copies of this book to BTS, which is amazing. I love when other people recognize BTS like that, and especially when it's Yoongi's favorite book. He must be really excited to get an autograph from the writer. So this book is about an Andalusian shepherd named Santiago who meets a king and then goes on a quest to find a treasure in Egypt, and he learns all kinds of important life lessons during his travels. He meets really interesting people, and I think the whole purpose of this entire book, although it is also enjoyable, I read it for pleasure as well, but it's definitely to learn something from this. This will teach you so much about life and love, and I think it's one of those books that you just have to read. It's a true classic. So yeah, I give this a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Really good read. Highly recommend. It's also really short. In this small book, it's only 226 pages, but this is a small version. So if you have like a regular book, it will be even less than that. So if you're interested in a short read, pick this up. Then another book that teaches you a life lesson is The Little Prince, and once again I have a beautiful version of the book. I bought this for this video, but I have actually read this book so many times. It was part of our mandatory reading in high school for a lot of different classes, including my French class, and I enjoyed every single bit of this. This is the kind of book that you can keep on rereading no matter what age you are. It is actually marketed as a children's book, but people of all ages can read it and get their own life lesson out of this. Basically, the whole point of this book is that you learn that what you give to others is more important than what you get back into return. This is a story about love and friendship and life, and it's so meaningful. And the one who recommended this, can you guess? It is JK. He mentioned that this is one of his favorite books and that this is a book that he could read till the end of time. I totally agree with him. This is another classic that I feel like you must read once in your life, and it's so short and small. It also has these super cute illustrations, so yeah, go read this. Then of course, when talking about BTS books, I have to mention this one, The Notes, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life. This is a book that BTS have published themselves. It is about BTS. Some armies find this really triggering to read because it uses the names of the actual members, but don't worry, it's not a real life story. I say don't worry because a lot of things happen in this, deals with very heavy topics. So once again, trigger warnings, that's like the common theme of this whole video. But yeah, trigger warnings are very important. This is all based on the BTS universe, and if you're a new ARMY or you don't really know anything about it, the BTS universe is a story that starts with the Most Beautiful Moment in Life series that BTS have done and goes all the way through Wings and then through the Love Yourself series, and notes of this story have been included in the albums that you get, like in the little notes section, that little booklet that includes the story, and this book is that story bundled up together, and it also has a second part. So if you want to know more about the meaning behind the music videos that BTS have made and the meaning behind their music, then definitely read these books. Not all music of BTS is part of the BTS universe, like the recent releases like Dynamite and Butter, Permission to Dance, that's all not part of this, but the older releases are. So to get an understanding of what BTS have gone through as fictional characters in their storyline, this is a great way to figure that out, especially if you're a new ARMY. So yeah, I totally recommend this. It is a little hard to get through. I love these books, but I wouldn't give them a 5 out of 5 stars because it's very confusing at times. Like each chapter is about a different member. So you get all the members' perspectives, but that makes the story really confusing and really hard to follow. So this is a book that I can't just easily read, if that makes sense. So if I'm tired, I might not want to pick this up because then I don't understand a thing. But it is a really beautiful story, so I do really recommend reading it. And then Taehyung also recommended The Power of Words, but that book is in Korean and I can't find the translation anywhere online. It has not been published in English, so unfortunately I can't read that. For the other members, for Jin and Jimin, I also couldn't find a book that they have recommended. Jin did reference The Little Prince in his performance of Moon during the Map of the Soul 1 concert. We had references to the rose, the foxes, the moon, obviously. So yeah, he definitely knows about this and has read it. So I guess this is also kind of a Jin recommendation. But if you know any other books that BTS have recommended, please let me know. So I might do a second part of this video, or I include them in my monthly reading wrap-ups because I'm planning on doing those the next year. So from January onwards, you will get to see what I read every single month. I hope you guys are excited. And then that was the video already. Thank you so much for watching. I love y'all loads. Bye bye and happy holidays in advance. Merry Christmas.